Now, Doug, I need you to add on to this. What do you have for
I
this
would
young
really
brother?
very much like to do that. First of all, don't give up hope. To build a relationship, you have to have access to your child. You know, sometimes people will use the argument, well, let's just remove the child, let things calm down, and eventually it'll heal itself. That doesn't happen, okay? It's going to take some proaction on your part. But there's a couple things to be very cautious about. One is don't retaliate with your own alienating behavior in the presence of the child. A lot of times parents will ask, what do I do? How do I handle this situation? And very often the best answer is make the decision that's going to reduce the child's anxiety. Okay? Because your goal is to get the child to be comfortable. Now, when it comes to spending time with the child, one of the ways of reducing the anxiety is to get physically involved in activities that they can share and you can share that hopefully are fun. I really don't like the idea, and I know a lot of people do this when they're trying to do reunification. They'll say, well, let's go and have dinner or let's go out and eat. Well, for both the child and adult, sometimes that could be real uncomfortable, okay? Because you run out of things to talk about and you start kind of pushing things. And children live by a very simple principle, and that is when uncomfortable, avoid. So your goal is to enhance that comfort. Again, too, don't expose your children to what I call espousal issues, meaning the issues that have to do between you and your ex-wife, probably that led up to the divorce. Your other guest made mention, and this is absolutely true, one of the things that triggers alienation often is the introduction of a new partner in a relation.
Yeah,
that is the one thing that consistently will trigger a pattern of alienating behavior. The last thing I want to say, because I know we have limited time, and that is myself and Dr. Barb Steinberg did a couple of studies on looking at what caused reunification. We actually found some successful reunification. The one common denominator, and I've seen this consistently, where the alienated child will reach out to the targeted parent is when that child, for whatever reason, is having a crisis of some kind. Crisis tends to break stalemates. And very often in that crisis, that child will say, you know what, I think I need to talk to Dad. Maybe he can help me.
Right.
Now, for that to happen, two things. One is the child always needs to know where you're at. Okay?
And has to have access to you.
They have to have access. And the second thing, and this is what will destroy reunification, and that is if the alienated parent tries to convince the child about what had happened in the past, and that from the targeted parent's perspective, what happened is the truth.
Wow.
And children don't want to hear that. They typically, when you talk to a child who's been alienated, they usually have a very different interpretation as to what's going on, unless they get a little older and then they start to recognize it.
Gotcha.
Or they don't want to talk about it. You can't push the issue and expect the child to believe your story.
Right.
Instead, focus on building the relationship, having a good time, doing physical activities. Do not retaliate with alienation.
Okay, Doug, I got to go to break real quick. You know how our shows are, listeners.